Welcome, everybody, to Generation Dan, the podcast where you can't get them anymore because they're harmful to children. I'm Atlas Novak. I'm your millennial. Who else is here with me?
I'm Dino the Genetic Marvel, and I'm basically the product of Yellow Dye 40, and that's where it's ended. That's
and lead poisoning.
I hate the paint. It was delicious. It's
Our guest today is Chana Carol. How are you?
Good. How are you? I represent the Zennials, which is that mid. I'm the mid-range.
Like, I really hope you guys burn this world to the ground. Like, it's going to be so great.
No, it won't be us, because we're the middle step. We're the redheaded stepchild of generations. Nobody cares about us. They're like, shut up and get in the back.
Yeah, I mean, I've talked about it on this show before that I consider generations more like a gradient than like the hard years. Because like if you have older, younger parents, if you're the youngest sibling, if you're the older sibling, it can pull you in one direction or another. Like our we used to have Gen Z hosts on this show, and then they would stop showing up. And we tried that 3 times and then never did it again.
Okay, but 2 of those, they were like, life is just so hard. And you're like, yeah, so you toughen up. What are you talking? Like, and I'm just like, all right. And coming on time.
Yeah.
Oh my, like, I'm old. So I'm like, if you're not 15 minutes early, you're late. That's my entire perspective. Now, at the same time, I like to be a bastard about things. So sometimes I'll just show up late on purpose. And I'm like, and they're like, hey, you're late. I'm like, I wanted you to know I didn't care. I wanted to be sure. It was very clear. Yeah.
Super Gen X. See, like I have some of the Gen X, like those, like, but with the millennial softness, you know. So it's a hard soft thing for me.
Like, so, and this is the thing is like, so I used to be a real person. I was a financial planner. I worked at a giant bank up here in Canada. And like, so it was like a huge corporate environment, and people would get so frustrated when I would just look at them and be like, I don't care about your opinion. And they're like, you can't say that to me. And I'm like, why? I'm like, you have no importance in my life. Why would I care about anything? It's just weird. And the funny thing is now I'm seeing a lot of like TikToks and stuff of people who are honest, and they're like, oh, that's my autism or ADD. I'm like, it sounds like you're just surrounded by dicks. Like, just be honest. I don't care. Like, that's one of those things where when people are extremely, like, I look like an ogre, basically, right? So like if I used to be much fatter, so when I would joke about this on stage, and I'd be like, if I walked into a dark alley and saw myself, I would pee my own pants. Like, that's right. And that's why I'm like, when people are overly nice and I'm like, oh, are you going to poison me? What's happening here? It's confusing because, you know.
Well, I have to say to your point, like the Zenio, because we're in the middle, so we don't care about your opinion, right? Yeah. Or like we don't care what you have to say, but we have to pretend like we do because we're in that mid, in the like the millennials. We don't care, but we pretend like we do.
I mean, like I'm all for being kind to people. Like I'm always skeptical about people who are overly nice, but as well, like, I'm like, hey, I will let you prove me my psychosis right, that everyone's a bastard. Like, I'll give you the opportunity, because I'm like, that's me pretending to be a good person, you know, like it's a fair thing. But then it's like, when people just don't get the hint, and then you're like, all right, listen, fuckface, okay, I will rip you in half, like, just with my own 2 hands, happily. It's
okay. So, the comment section has been like, what are we doing today? Food stuffs that are no longer available to us. So either it got discontinued, or our grandma's dead and doesn't make that can't make that recipe anymore. Something. And then also, just to like put a cap on that, Chana. So I was born in 1994. And our last Gen Z host was born the same year as me, but we were pulled in different directions. I'm the youngest sibling of parents who had me in their early 40s. So I got pulled closer to the center.
Yeah.
Whereas he's the oldest sibling of parents who had him young. So he got pushed in that Gen Z direction. That's it.
And and I'm the youngest of 5 kids. And like, so I was born like just on the, like I was born in 1980. So it's like, technically I'm just like just a Gen Xer. But I'm like, yeah, but all of my principles are, you know, I had a curfew of 10 p.m. And my dad's like, after 10, ghosts are on the street. You can't be out. Like, oh, it's not wrong. Ash, I believe you. I'm not going to Google that. I don't need that on my phone.
Nope.
Ace, yeah,
we'll have to blur that out in editing.
Oh.
If you it's a real place. It's fine.
Okay.
But Ace, yeah. So if you have anything that you miss and or hated about things you had tried in the past, are we talking about politics? No, we're trying to have a decent Sunday. Why do you have to be so angry?
I told my wife about this topic, and she's like, you need to do a part 2, and I need to be there because she was telling me about there just the one where it was this Wonder Ball where it was like a little ball of chocolate and there were prizes in the middle, and then a bunch of kids choked on the prizes, so now it's just regular ass candy like any other chocolate.
Okay. That is a Kinder Egg, and it is the great equalizer of youth. If you had a Kinder Egg and you died, life wasn't for you. I'm sorry.
You know, they still sell them in Europe. We just can't have them because we're stupid.
So we have them in Canada. It's fun. Like so during Halloween and Christmas, they'll bring out jumbo Kinder Eggs, and they're about 8 to 10 inches tall.
Wow.
And they will have like, I remember one had like a magnetically levitated boat thingy that you had to stand, like it was a sailboat this big. I'm like, it was actually cool, and you know, and then everything goes to crap.
Made of chocolate. I'm levitating.
You joke on that. We could have the big ones. You have a boat in there.
Like at the same time, though, I feel like in the U.S., somebody would still try and eat what's inside the giant egg, and like, this tastes a lot like plastic. That's what it is. That's why you don't eat it.
It's got stickers and shit. R.I.P. your digestive system.
It'll come out.
I mean, one way or another.
That's true.
No, that's the one.
We have healthcare though, so I'm like, oh, if something goes bad, you can just go to the hospital. You guys are like, nah, I'm just gonna die at home. That's,
comfortably.
I think my favorite part about looking at the comments section right now, I've seen people from India, from Germany.
Yeah.
Welcome everybody. Also, leave a like, leave a comment, subscribe? Question mark.
Subscribe to our channels. We do all sorts of shows. We do cooking shows, history shows, all sorts of stuff. So stick around. You might have fun. Feel free to give us something that you remember from your nostalgic days as a child.
That isn't available anymore. Yeah.
Well, like the wild part is, like, I remember, this is gonna make people feel bad. Like, you could go with like $1 and like there were like, you could get Swedish berries. There were a penny a piece. And like Swedish berries are so delicious, right? Like, and you're like, I'm sure it's like red dye number 5 that will like turn your insides out and stuff. Like, I'm sure it is.
Is that the same relation to the fish, or
yes? So, but
really?
They use
balls, right?
It looks like a raspberry upside down but flat on the bottom, right? So it's got these little bumpy things, and so the wild part is like the new ones are more gummy and they're not as like
those are the ones I've had those,
and so like I remember those, and then it's like I remember one day I went right. So I remember going to the convenience, like, and it was like at the convenience store, they were a penny a piece. So like, not even like you went to Bulk Barn or something crazy, but like I walked in and all of a sudden it was like 5 cents a piece. And I'm like, what kind of shenanigans is happening here? Like, I just lost my entire mind, and I was a fat kid. So I was like, I need 100 of these. I can't survive on just,
do you guys have Rolo candy in the U.S. as Victoria? Yes, we do.
We did have penny candy. I remember when I was little, my grandma used to give me money to go up the store to get her cigarettes. You could go with a note. You know, and then she would be like, here's $1, and you would come home with enough candy, you know, to give you diabetes.
Yeah.
Well, listen, that's the good old days.
Or the gumball machine with the gumballs that hadn't been changed since like 1975. But you didn't care because you're like, I have a dime. I'm getting the red one.
Yeah.
And then it's like this, like your cheek is like.
Yeah. Like I remember, did you guys ever have gobstoppers?
Oh, sure.
Yeah.
Okay. And like they were small, but you would got like a box of them, right? Mm-hmm. And then they started coming out with like big ones that were like kind of like they were like 1.5 inches in diameter, and you're kind of like, oh, and they're like, well, you just gotta work through it. And then they have like ones that are the size of softballs, and people are like, yeah just put it in your mouth. You're like,
really?
I'm fat, not a snake. I don't know what you're thinking here.
Those are like Ed, Ed and Eddie Jawbreakers, like from the cartoon, where they're just, you know, like you could beat someone over the head with it.
They were huge, yeah. Big one.
I mean, like, it's always one of those things where you're kind of looking at a candy and you're going, this doesn't make sense, but now I have to see. Maybe I'm missing something. It'll be a learning experience, you know? Yeah. It's like, I remember once I had started buying iced coffee like in canisters from the grocery store, and I would just mix it myself. So I'm like, I didn't buy it at Starbucks anymore. And then I was like, honey, I feel weird today. And she's like, is it because you drank 1.5 liters of iced coffee? And I'm like, that's it. I did that. Oops, my bad. It's, you know.
Is it powdered iced coffee? What are you getting?
No, it's like a jug, like you would buy like a jug of OJ.
Oh,
you can buy a Starbucks version of just iced coffee.
Okay.
And then no. I'm not like all the way in like Nunavut where, you know, things you have to mix it with snow and hope for the best. No, I'm in Toronto.
Strange sounding things like, what is a lollipop? I don't.
What is a what?
Okay, I believe Breakdancing Eagle mentioned that he's from was raised a little in Germany for about 3 years, then came to America.
What is a lollipop?
A lollipop is a candy on a stick that you and you know.
Yeah, and then some asshole owl takes it from you and pretends like, how many licks does it take to get to the center, and then eats the whole thing.
But look, once he takes it, you realize that owls don't make sound when they flap their wings, which is super messed up. That is,
When I was a kid, my sister would do this thing where she'd be like, hey, can I have a bite of your sandwich? Or hey, can I have a sip of your drink? And then like unhinge her jaw and take half your sandwich with her, or like drain half your drink. We used to call that a Phoebe sip. Phoebe is my sister's name.
Yeah.
So Phoebe sip or a Phoebe bite. And now, as an adult, I don't live with my sister anymore. Yeah. I live with my wife, but she's like, you finished your drink in like 20 seconds. I'm like, because Phoebe's gonna get it, man.
I feel personally attacked. I have that problem.
Well, your siblings? Or?
Sibling. Well, that's the thing. Because so up until puberty, I was tiny in comparison to everyone else, right? So like, and I was so there were 5 kids, 4 boys that made 2 tag teams. So all we did was beat the crap out of each other constantly, right? And it would be like one older sibling and then a younger sibling and then another older sibling, and we would go like as teams. And the problem is that when you're smaller than everyone, you fight dirty, right? So I'm like, I'll poke you in the ribs and I'll, grab your nose and stuff like that.
Right. Have to.
Yeah, well, exactly. But now I'm 6'3" and 270 pounds, and I still am the same way. And I'm like, I'll pinch you. I'm like, yeah, you want to fight? Purple Nurple coming your way. It's going to happen, It's 160.
I get that. I'm still the small one, so I have to fight dirty all the time.
I mean, like, and that's the thing is, so like, if someone's like, hey, do you, I was like, hey, can I have a bite? And they're like, yeah, sure. And I would like, I can eat a Big Mac in 3 bites. It's not and people are just like, why would you do that? And I'm like, because I'm a bastard. That's,
because I can reassemble it in my mouth and be like, I solved the puzzle.
Well, like we grew up in a machine shop, so everyone worked tirelessly days in it. Like you'd come home covered in grease, and we would.
Sounds rough. I'm just saying.
Well, so we would eat as a family, and it was like stretch or starve. Like everyone is starving because we just worked all day like dogs. So Ryan, you say the word and you're welcome to come on there, sir. Yeah. But yeah, it's I feel like there are certain things that like were great, and like we discussed this earlier, was like, I remember when McDonald's had pizza and like they had these fancy trays and like they would bring it out to you, which is ludicrous. But at the same time, you're like, it gave you the full pizza experience. You felt sad afterward. You burned areas of your mouth. You had to do the as you ate it, as one should.
Cheese lava. Yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
Yes.
And like you would burn your teeth, not just your gums, and you're like, how are my teeth burned? So it's but like even now, okay, so I don't know if you guys have this. So they just came out with a new burger at McDonald's. It's called the Big Arch, and it's actually a good burger. Like it tastes like a double quarter pounder, but dressed up like a Big Mac. So it's. I don't know, because they just brought it out here, and I'm like, it's been great. I've had it a couple times. I felt sick afterward, but it's McDonald's. That's one of those nostalgia things, right? Yeah, you're like, fast food, and now I'm gonna hate myself for 3 days.
I just missed the dollar menu or the all-day breakfast. Thanks a lot, COVID, for taking away the all-day breakfast.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, you know what? Like that's. I before the pandemic, as like a traditional fatso, like 2:00 in the morning, I'm like, you know what I need? I need 3 McDoubles with Big Mac sauce. That's what I need. And maybe one will have bacon and cheese if I'm feeling fancy. But I'm like, I could get that for like $8. I'm like, no, that's a full meal. And like the amount of meat in there, it's like almost a small steak. I'm like, no, that's fine. That's good, And now I tried to order one. And they're like, yeah, one is $4. I'm like, $4? Yeah.
We lost all day breakfast years ago in Supersize. I think Supersize was because of the documentary with that name. Like you can't call it Supersize ever again. And
okay, but do you guys heard about that guy, right?
Yeah.
So
he just passed away.
I don't. Did he pass away? Well,
I think so.
They were in the documentary. He said, like, he went to a doctor, and and the doctor's like, "Hey, man, your liver is like pate. Like, I've never seen anything this bad." And then he came out and he was like, "Oh, by the way, I was also a raging alcoholic at the time and like suffer." And you're going, "Hold on, man. Like, you led everyone to believe that McDonald's had done this damage to you." You're like, "No, you're an alcoholic and that's what did it to you." And then, yeah.
He's a bigger clown than Ronald. I'm going to trust Ronald.
Like, it's... Have you Shauna, have you seen the original pictures of
Oh my god. Yes. That's okay. That not that Ronald. I don't mess with that Ronald, but Ronald from like the late 80s, early 90s, he's on my level. I'm a firm believer that the last trustworthy politician was Mayor McCheese. Like he was the last one. 3 McDonald's does not count as carnivore. I'm not saying it was a good time in my life, sir.
My God. I'm looking at a picture. It's a Willard Scott.
It was
he's got like a Kleenex box on his head.
And like a cup on his nose. It's scary.
It's well, and like you're kind of like, oh, if that's what clowns used to be, I get the whole everyone's got a problem with clowns. Like that's
yeah.
No, but like I don't have a problem with Ronald. You know what I'm saying? The thing is about Mayor McCheese that I never understood. Like his head was a cheeseburger, right?
Yeah.
And the Hamburglar always wanted to steal hamburgers. What if he kidnapped Mayor McCheese and just ate his head?
I mean, he's like the Hamburglar was clearly a Batman villain in that world. Like he was not good people.
I could totally see it. Like it's the Riddler, Poison Ivy, the Hamburger.
The Hamburglar.
Yeah.
Yeah. He's just,
Yeah.
Screw Ra's al Ghul. That's cooler.
Like, okay, the word I remember reading a tweet or something where this guy mentioned Grimace at McDonald's. And the person behind the counter was like, I don't know what that is. And his response was like, he fucking works here, bro. What do you mean? Like, and you're kind of like, damn, that's
a purple nugget. What is he?
So don't you? Okay, if
I need to find that clip from Family Guy where it's Peter and Lois about to have sex and she's dressed up as Grimace. And she's like, you got some hamburgers I can steal. He goes, Lois, the Hamburglar steals hamburgers. Grimace is Ronald McDonald's autistic friend. Like,
Like listen, the problem is that Grimace. I'm gonna look this up because he's there's a weird thing about him. So
someone just goes milkshake. Yes.
Exactly. Okay. Yeah. So the Grimace milkshake, yeah, is the whole. But Grimace is actually. I'm gonna read it out because.
Okay, I want to know.
He was originally called the Evil Grimace and resembled a huge blobby purple gumdrop with
is this
4
gonna
arms.
hurt me? Like you don't meet your heroes or something. Like is this where we're going?
Yeah, it is.
Great. Okay.
Yeah. So he was So originally he was the Evil Grimace and resembled a huge blobby purple gumdrop with 4 arms. As the Hamburger was obsessed with hamburgers and Captain Crook was obsessed with Filet-O-Fish sandwiches, the Evil Grimace's obsession was with shakes, as he was often running off with the whole slew of them packed in his 4 arms.
Oh, so they have like a rogues gallery.
There's a whole
interesting.
A 4-armed Grimace?
Okay. So, and he was extremely dumb. And Ronald always managed to fool Grimace. That was the whole thing. Now,
I don't think it would be that hard, Ronald. Come on.
Of course. Listen, 4 arms, a lot of brain power is going towards controlling those arms, right?
I mean,
plus, the brain freeze from 4 milkshakes, that's
quadruple fisting.
I mean, he's a hero. Like that's. There are a lot of people who would watch that OnlyFans. I'm just like that's.
I was like, you know why they don't know who Grimace is now? Because he had a heart attack. That's
probably. It's also where the Shamrock Shake goes for 9/10 of the year. Now we know.
There is a comment about that too. Okay, so eventually the character was changed from the Evil and was removed from his name, and his arms went from 4 to 2. No longer a villain, he was recast as Ronald's best buddy, a clumsy, not too bright, oversized kid with a heart of gold.
Okay, so he's like Patrick from SpongeBob.
That's probably a comparable origin. He retained this persona throughout the rest of his tenure in the McDonald's commercials. During the Shamrock Shake promotions around St. Patrick's Day, McDonald's introduced Uncle O'Grimacy, Grimace's uncle from Ireland who spoke with an Irish brogue and was colored green.
Oh my God.
Nothing is real. We live in the Matrix. I don't know.
I've never seen Uncle O'Grimace.
Is there such a thing as Irish blackface? Is that like a thing?
Maybe.
We should get John D. Ruddy back here and see what he thinks.
I mean, it's very confusing. Victoria's like, I always thought he was an eggplant. Also false, but some of the really old kid parks would have placards explaining who they were. Okay, so do you guys remember when places were like unique to every McDonald's?
Yes, yeah. I do.
Okay. Because it would have been just leaving when you guys were kids. Like, I went to one that was like 3 stories, had a real train, and was like wild stuff.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
No, there was. So I got burnt on one of those McDonald's slides when I was little because it was metal. It burnt the hell out of my arm.
You didn't go to play. You went to survive war in the playplace, right? So this is the funny thing is I remember my ex-wife would babysit these 2 little girls, and we would take them to McDonald's because who doesn't like McDonald's, and you could rub it in their parents' face later. It's great. And the problem was the one little girl was like, she was very sneaky, and she would like, if you had treats hidden in the house, she would find them and like steal them. And like, she was just like that. And then
Hamburgerina. No.
I mean, she actually looked like, the little red, they look like pom-poms. Do you guys remember those?
Yeah.
Like they were little
guys, the fry guys?
Yes.
Yes. But they had like eyes, but they were
Yeah. She looked like one of those. There's no question. Like but so a bunch of kids came out of the play place and they were like, someone's farting in there, like it stinks in there, and she's kind of wondering. And then she sees her name was Robin, I think, the little girl, but she had stolen chocolate X-Lax she found, and she thought it was chocolate.
Oh no.
So it was like heinous. And and that happened in the play place, which was like, come on, just grabbed her and let's go.
Yeah.
Put down a plastic bag in my car and just drove her home. And she was like, I'm sorry. And you're like, kid, it's not on you. It's fine. But like someone's day just got ruined in that place. Whoever had to clean it, I apologize to you. But not enough to care. Yeah.
I'm pretty sure that's why they just like they quit having them because they're like, I am so sick of cleaning kid pee.
Probably.
Yeah.
Here's just a PSA. Those little ball pits.
Dude, they're awful.
Never. Just never. This is to everyone. It is a breeding ground for, H1N1 or SARS, whatever you want. Like
everyone's like, COVID got started in China. It started in a fucking ball pit.
A ball pit. It was a ball pit in Wuhan that all the kids were like, yeah, this is great. Oh, went to hell.
They were like, what can we blame it on? A bat? No, it's the pit.
It's one of those things where like, I don't know, like the amount of weird things. Like I was around when Push Pops came out. Do you guys know?
Push Pops.
I remember Push Pops. Yes,
love those.
I'll tell you this much: very soon after they came out in school, there was a hey, this is how you do the Heimlich maneuver because you're all going to need it because you're all dumb. And like there was like I'm a firm believer that it's like there were certain things that were put out aimed at children just to cull the herd. I
mean, lawn darts, you gotta just take people out.
Listen, if you like, there was, if you can't survive a peanut butter and jelly sandwich, life's not for you. I'm sorry. It's not, I just, my heart goes out to you, but like you're fighting the fine fight from the get go, like, and against peanuts, like, we're doing good. Yeah. We're doing good, Formula Addict. Thanks for coming. But yeah, like it's now like I had this conversation with someone about we used to go to Florida. We would drive from Toronto to Florida for the summer vacation. We'd go there for like 2-3 weeks. It was wild time.
Why is that like a thing? We did that too. Well, my grandparents lived there.
Well, so that's the thing is it was the closest thing to like a good vacation that you could have and still have control. You can drive there. It's going to be hot. You got it hit a lot of those bells, right? Mm-hmm. And I remember like my parents would say to us, because only me and my brother were really young. We had about 6 to 8 years with our older siblings, and then they got older. So my parents would be like, okay, you guys each get to choose a cereal, and that's your cereal for the next 2 weeks. Like, so you can have a fun one, whatever you want, and that's your cereal, and you get to have it yourself. And that was one of the only times I ever had Captain Crunch cereal. And that was like eating razor blades.
I was like, how was your mouth? Your mouth has never recovered.
No, I still, it was wild. And I'm just like, yeah, I had to beat the captain and his crunchy ways, or else I would die. Like
Captain Crunch, like pineapple without the vitamin C. It's great.
Right? Like I feel like that's why people have baby teeth. You're like, listen, you're gonna mess up a lot. Those are gonna go. Just abuse them as much as you want. Afterward, then you're gonna have to learn your lesson, or else you're gonna be one of those weirdos who's like, "Hi, everybody," and you're just, nobody's gonna like you.
Listen, you had to survive the crunch berries. Wait, so you said earlier, by the way, that you were like, "Oh, I'm an ogre." And I was like, "Oh my gosh, that is one of the things that I miss." There used to be a Shrek cereal. After, did you ever eat this cereal?
No.
Okay, it was sort of like maybe a cross between like Berry Kicks and like Captain Crunch.
Yeah.
But the thing is it was so good. But then I would eat it, and then after I would eat it, when I would pee, it would smell like Shrek cereal.
Yeah, like
because it doesn't fully break down. Didn't that happen with Frankenberry? Like it would turn your poop pink or something?
Right. So yeah.
Oh God, this is one of those things where like you find out much later. You're like, oh, there's a reason that's not on the market anymore. You're like, it did a mean thing to your kidneys for like quite some time. Like it's
right?
it's weird that like So I remember like the first bite of Captain Crunch was like because it had colored ones because it was crunch berry kind of some flavor, right?
Yes.
And like in a kid's brain, you think, oh, colored like Lucky Charms, so those will be like the soft bits. No, all razor blades. It's a bowl of razor blades, and you're just gonna have to die. And
okay, that might be the episode title. That's great. It's a bowl of razor blades.
I have to tell you, I've eaten the modern. It's been a while, but I've eaten the modern Captain Crunch, and it's less razor bladey.
Yeah, I think that's on purpose.
Children are weak. That's why the children are weak. They haven't had to fight the captain.
But I don't want to eat it. I need the full experience. Okay. 100%.
Yeah.
If I'm doing it, we're going hard.
You're like Bill Murray in Little Shop of Horrors, where he goes to the dentist specifically to get tortured. Where he's like, "Come on, give it to me, Captain. Let's go." You know.
It's I mean, okay, that's also a front runner for the episode title. Is if we're gonna do it, we're gonna do it hard. I mean,
we're gonna do. Listen, I can take the captain in my mouth. I promise, I can take it.
Listen, it's Fruit Loops help.
It's gonna come out my nose. Oh my god!
But like it's one of those things where you're like, because I remember too, is like you'll go back to things you had, and they're like, oh, they brought that out again. I'm gonna try it, and you try, and you're like,
no, it's not the same.
Not and
because they banned, pink dye number 26 or whatever.
Well, so this is the thing: is like you guys have like the Thunderdome when it comes to food rules, right?
Mm-hmm. True.
Canada is halfway between the US and Europe when it comes to regulation. So like we have some cool stuff, but most of it is okay. Europe, they're like cereals have no color. How dare you try and entice children? Like that's and the toy is going to be a book. You're like, this is
I think in the long run that's probably a good idea, but speaking here about our own childhood, fuck you. I want the sugary tooth rotting goodness back.
Right?
Yeah.
Fruit Loops help the taste of certain. Oh, forget it. Fruit Loops, like pineapple, but like the way you're thinking of.
I mean, like that's. So as well, I feel like this kind of goes together with the whole idea of nostalgia. But like, Fruit Loops is spelled FROOT.
Yeah.
Loops.
Yeah.
Which you're like, no, it wasn't. And like, there's a bit of Mandela effect too. With how we remember things, right?
I don't know though, because it had the two O's. The two O's were cereal. The cereal O's, fruit.
I thought they were on loops though, because loops.
Because like, I think what it is you know the name, and then you look at the box, and your brain kind of fills in what the rest of the word's going to be. Like you speed read the word fruit, and you're like, of course it would be spelled the right way. Why wouldn't it be? And then.
Okay.
I get it. It's that Mandela effect. I know.
I mean, so Victoria grew up in the UK, and she's like, "Yep, no colorful cereals and no toys in cereal boxes." Like, it's one of those things where you're like,
"How we survived the Blitz, love. We never had any colorful cereal."
We've got teeth and brain rot here.
That's that's why they drink all the tea. The teeth don't work.
Oh my god, I tried tea as like the morning wake up drink because I was talking to my dad. My dad has Parkinson's, Chana.
Yeah.
And I was like, so, I'm probably going to have something when I, get to your age. He's like, look, probably stop drinking so much coffee. I'm like, well, how am I going to wake up in the morning? He said, try tea. And then I tried tea, and I'm like, why did Britain conquer half the world for this? This is terrible.
Okay.
As the wake up drink? No, it's not even close.
So you got to remember though, too, is that there is a whole process for tea. Otherwise, you're just drinking hot leaf water, and it is not appetizing at all.
That's what all tea is.
But it's not. It's
hot leaf water.
But so this is So it's one of those things where like if you so a great equalizer. I had oolong tea, which originally was only for royalty. Okay. I had it in Beijing on a tour in an actual tea house. It was a whole presentation, and then you got to try the tea. It was a wonderful thing. And I was like, being a very much coffee drinker, like I drink every once in a while, I have a Greek coffee, which is like thick, like sludge on the bottom. It will wake up your ancestors through your soul. Right?
Oh no.
And I had that tea and I was like, this is magnificent. Like, this is so enjoyable. Okay. I bought some, brought it home, tried making it, and I made warm leaf juice. It was not enjoyable at all. Now, my wife is Chinese. I've had tea in her house, oolong tea, and I'm like, once again, it is now delicious. I am definitely not capable to make tea properly.
Listen, we don't do it right on this continent. We just have a hard time.
Yeah.
We have a hard time. Yeah. It didn't translate. I don't know, because people will say like you're making the tea wrong. And I'm like, what? It's bag water.
I thought that was it, right? Or like maybe do this a couple of times.
Yeah. Oh yeah, you gotta dip it a little bit.
So yeah, maybe I just haven't figured it out right. But like where they're like, you have to appreciate. I just need somebody to wake up in the morning. I'm not looking for the menu. You ever see that movie with Ray Fiennes?
Yes.
Like I'm not looking for that.
Okay, but honestly, that would be a great way to wake up if you had that kind of menu. It's like it's a delectable, perfect thing. Now, also too. So I've had this discussion, Shauna, maybe you can chime in too, is in the morning, you have just finished 8 hours of sleep. Why do you need something to wake you up? You have the morning. Like you should be well. If you're not well rested, that's a different issue, right?
Because you live in the hellscape that is here.
As someone who's basically a senior citizen at this point, so like I wake up and I have a glass of cold water with apple cider vinegar first, okay? Which is, I'll tell you, you never get used to. It tastes like shit, but it's very good for your inner workings. Half hour later, I have a warm water with lemon squeezed into it. That's my first hour of the day, regardless of anything else. And then I'll have a coffee. I try and have it after 11, but before 6. Otherwise, I'm going to be up all night. Yeah. I feel weak. And I'm like, no, I'm going to just close my eyes out of spite and just, I'm going to pretend.
This is usually how it is for me. I got to wake up at like 5:30-ish. Because I'm.
What time do you go to bed?
Yeah. I go to bed around like 9:30, 10 at the latest. During the weekdays. Okay. Weekends, it's, whatever. But, and then I'll wake up then. Sometimes I'll make myself coffee. Sometimes I won't. And then I'll go to my work at the school. And then I will always have coffee there. So I have 1 or 2 cups a day. And then I never again. Like, I've never had to go back for more coffee after.
So you need that. Otherwise.
Yeah, you're not allowed to do hard drugs in schools anymore.
You need that sludgy coffee in the school. I think
I need a Turkish coffee. That'd be pretty cool.
It is not Turkish, it is Greek. I will kill you.
Although, I mean, like,
kill your face immediately.
Like just saying. Yeah. I like iced coffee. I love it. I didn't drink coffee, and I was cool waking up until I worked at Starbucks, and they made you taste the coffee from the coffee presses. You weren't allowed to put anything in it. You had to drink it straight black out of the coffee press for the notes of the burnt beans. I was like, it tastes burnt. Okay, what's the next one taste like? Burnt. Okay, but they made you drink it, and then they get you hooked.
Yeah.
Wow. That's kind of dark. That's
once again proof Starbucks is a cult. There's no question.
They lure you. Yeah. See, like they make you drink it. They get you hooked on their product. And then they're like, see, twofold.
I used to work in a weed dispensary, Shauna, and that was also kind of part of it. Was like my boss would be like, "Here, smoke this," and I'm like,
"Yeah."
Didn't you make me take a drug test when I started here? That's for heroin.
Okay. That's for dangerous things. This is good for you.
Yeah.
You dude looks like crying.
Also, I was the receptionist. I wasn't even like a bud tender where that's important. Because this is back when it was still medicinal. So I was taking like the doctor's notes and stuff.
Like you have to know. You have to know.
And I'm like, I really, really don't, but okay.
Yeah. It's one of those things. Yeah. That's
Greek dude looks like crying.
We're still hooked.
Oh yeah. No. I went and got this is what I did. So I in my journey, like I'm this close to beating type 2 diabetes, Shauna. So I'm like, it's a great thing. I'm very excited. But at the same time, it's like I realized that sugar is my enemy,
Yeah.
And I found out. Well, so there's the thing is, I found out that cold brew will have sugar already added to it.
Oh.
And I was like, fuck, right? So because I too, like being fat, I constantly am hot, right? So I will just immediately, I'm like, yeah, I want a cold drink splashed into my face and then poured over my head, and that's how I start my day. But so I started getting, and wildly, it's cheaper. And then somebody said it on TikTok, they do it as a hack, which I'm like, no, you're just being held. So I'll get 5 shots of espresso in a venti cup with ice and a little bit of heavy cream, because vanilla sweet cream costs $2 whereas heavy cream included.
If I drank 5 shots of espresso, I'd be dead. I love a little like iced coffee. I think I like the sugar. But like one time I got real espresso. There's like this Italian place. They have the big machine.
Yeah.
I got like a latte, right? Iced latte. And I drank it and I came home and I had to get on the treadmill and run that coffee off because I was freaking out.
Yeah.
It's not even I'm trying to lose the weight. It's like
oh, it like this is one of those times where you're like, you realize, like, I used to drink a coffee and go right to bed, no problem, double espresso, right to bed. Like I would be out at night instead of having a drinking problem. I'm like, yeah, I'll just go for a coffee at like 11 o'clock at night. Yeah, I'll have a double espresso. I'm good to go. I'm gonna go to bed late, no problem. Now, if I have it past like 5 o'clock, 6 o'clock, I'm like, I'll see you guys in 3 days, and I'll just I've never slept before.
But you're doing 5 shots of espresso.
Okay, but I in my defense, I'm also the size of like 2.5 people. So
okay, but also like the fact that the Americano is named such because Americans can't handle their espresso. Now you are Greek Canadian, so kind of doesn't fit, but North American at the least. Just the fact that you can handle that blows my mind.
Well, so it's the funny thing is, like, even on the note about your siblings taking attacks, like when I go to Greece, like my cousins and stuff will make a coffee in the morning and then realize by like 3 o'clock it's still like half full, and I'm like, give me 36 seconds and that coffee is gone. And I was just like, gone. Like, it's just, and there's like, why are you so fast? I'm like, I live in the Thunderdome where nothing stops, like, and this is like one of the things where like, I get so aggravated by, like now when the economy is low, because people are like, oh, things aren't open 24 hours a day and things are shutting down early. And I'm like, it's 9 o'clock at night and I want to go out for a snack because I'm fat. And people are like, oh, everything's closed. And I'm like, it's Wednesday. Okay. That is a fair party day. Like Monday and Tuesday. Okay. People have church and stuff. Sure. But Wednesday, it's hump day. We need things to do.
Hump day. Thursday is Thirsty Thursday.
Thirsty 100%. Thursday. Yeah. 9 o'clock, everything shuts down. I'm like, okay, we're all 800 years old and we have to go to bed at 9.
Right.
Well,
yeah.
You're a teacher. You got to go to bed at 9:30. But
I'm a night owl as a person. Yeah. And my wife, who got me into teaching in the first place, is an early bird. I feel like she did that on purpose so that
you will be on a schedule, and it will be my schedule.
We'll conform to her schedule. Yeah, no, but just like I like nighttime. I also don't hate the morning. I think the time I hate the most is 10 a.m. to about when the sun sets.
Yeah,
everyone's too damn chipper. There's too much stuff going on. Fuck that. I want it. Yeah, I want the morning mist or the night fog. I don't need anything else.
Okay, this was the wild thing. Like, I remember we would go to Greece when I was young, and like it was so hard because like at like 1 o'clock everything's closed until about 4 o'clock. Like it's closed. Everyone's sleeping because it's too goddamn hot to be outside. And like now I'm like, oh, the afternoon nap is wasted on the young. Like it is such a glorious thing, but like that's the pro. Like, a lot of people will post it and they're like, if you see somebody in their 40s and they're out past 9, they had a nap in the afternoon. And I'm like, you're not wrong, but And
I have to tell you, there used to be all these things that were open. So when I was dating my husband back in the day, we also used to like to go out late for like a snack, right? And there was this blimpie. I don't know if you guys know what a blimpie is.
Nope.
It's like a sub shop, but not like. But I feel like they had upgrades, but they were very
still around.
simple. Blimpie, I have no idea. But it was so the gas station that was down the street had a blimpie inside of it. And so I'm sure that because we would go there at like 1 a.m, and a guy with the teardrop prison tattoo would make me my sandwich, and they had the roasted red peppers on that. And I'm sure he thought we were high. But
that's the assumption.
We just looked blimpie in the gas station. I miss that. Can I get a blimpie in the gas station with the prison tat guy? Can we have him? He killed people, so it's cool for him to work at the blimpie gas station. He's good.
Okay, so just so you know, I just Googled blimpie, and it does still exist. It is a sub shop. They do have a website, but it is still
that sandwich. Let me tell you.
So just recently, Jersey Mike's opened up in Canada.
Okay.
And they're like freshly cutting the meats right in front of you, and everything's happening like on site. And like it's
I'm just
a wild
waiting for someone to chop off a pinky finger. It hasn't happened yet, but
I'm sure it has.
Oh, there's no question. Like I've seen that. Yeah, the meat slicer, and this lady's going, and I'm like, oh man, I'm watching.
Mm-hmm.
Something might happen, But like at the same time, like they're making the sandwich, and everyone is like putting extra, like more than a sandwich need. Everything is going extra, like not heinously, but just a little bit on every level. So there's a lot of lettuce.
They're doing a reverse Chipotle.
Exactly.
Oh, yeah.
And I'm like, so I got a giant size number 9 on the menu, and it's a fantastic sandwich, but also like it is a full loaf of bread. I'm not gonna deny it, right? Like I eat it, and 3 days later I'm hungry. Like it's not, But I'm like, I respect you for making a damn good sandwich, because like there you used to go into Subway. Here we had Mr. Sub, and you're like, oh, okay, is a good solid sub. And now you're like, oh, you're only allowed 4 slices of. You're like, listen, if you're gonna be counting the slices, no, you're gonna make enough slices until it's covered. I don't want to see the bottom piece of bread. I want to be covered by it. If I can see the bread,
I'm telling you, that's some post-pandemic. This is what happened post-pandemic. You're getting 2 slices of meat. I hope it covers.
Oh, and you know what? Okay, here I miss 24-hour Walmart. Nothing like shopping at 2 a.m. Okay, so recently I went to a Walmart.
I miss it too.
And
Rock and Roll Ralph's.
Yeah, look, I went to a Walmart at like 11 o'clock at night. It was packed. It was packed with people, and I'm like, all right, let's do this. And I'm like there were lineups and everything. I'm like, listen, if you need full staffing at 11 o'clock in the morning, I think you should shut down for a siesta and just open up at nighttime. It'll just be better for everyone. Let's middle of the day, let's shut this mother down,
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I miss the 24-hour Walmart. I do. I miss the 24-hour, all these things, man.
I can understand like not having the like not being able to hire the staff and like thus you shut down, but like morning people are an oppressive class. It seems like. One time I went to go get a MRI for my epilepsy, and they put you in the tube for like 6 hours with a blanket, and they're like, here, we're gonna scan you while you sleep. And then around 4 a.m. they woke me up. They're like, all right, we're done. I'm like, shouldn't I until 6 or something? They're like, no, we've got to move on. Get out. So I just drove home in the supreme quiet of Los Angeles at 4 in the morning.
It's magical when it's quiet.
Yeah, there's no one around. And like, I wanted food. I was hungry, but nothing's open. So you're just
listen, I'll be honest with you. If you see a place or like a food truck or like a dodgy diner that's opened at that time of night, I'll tell you right now,
go there.
You're gonna have the best food of your life at a very reasonable price. No one's gonna want to talk to you, which is great. Just leave me alone. And like there's not enough experience like that. Like, so this is one thing that me and my wife, when we first started dating, our first date was February 21st. And the following year, we're coming up to our year anniversary. I'm like, listen, I'm cheap. So you can have a Valentine's Day or an anniversary party. You got to pick one. I'm not doing both because,
wait a minute. Before you continue that, I got married on Valentine's Day, so we don't have that problem.
It's a smart move. It's a smart move. I respect it. Yeah. One of my brothers got married on his birthday. I'm like, so, it's a good idea. So what we do for Valentine's Day every year is we'll dress up nice because let's feel fancy. Then we go to a fast food that we haven't had in a while.
Love it.
Then we'll go see a horror movie. We will have no lineups. When we tell people, so when we go for fast food and we tell people what we're doing, they're like, that's genius. And then so a while ago, we have a few 24-hour A&W restaurants in our area.
They don't have those. They used to have. There was one. It was so good.
So good. And also we're pretending to be healthy. So we'll get everything like our burgers, little wrapped, but we'll still get fries because we're not monsters, right? But we got that. And they have if you're sitting down, they'll give you a frosted mug of root beer.
Yes.
And then they came out and they're like, because there's no one there. And they're like, we'll get you refills. So they were giving us table service and shit. And I'm like, this is so much better. Because look, on Valentine's Day, you're not getting good service. It's just, it's going to be garbage, overpriced. It's the worst.
Trust me, it's terrible.
And then we go to the movies and it's a horror movie and it is completely empty. And you're like, great, we just get to enjoy a good movie and just
that reminds
fun
me.
time.
Do you remember when Pizza Hut was sit down?
I have one. It's down the street. They just got a lunch buffet. They just started doing it again. And I'm like, oh, I'm living in the greatest time of the we went, it was bad, but still.
What's not around anymore that I miss is Quiznos.
Is what?
Quiznos?
Oh
okay.
My God, I forgot about that.
Okay, so Quiznos was better than Subway, sandwich. And then the people who started running it in the mid to late 2000s fucking ran it into the ground because they're like, we need to suck all the money out of this as possible, and then it exploded. And then Jersey Mike's took over.
And then they had the hamsters, which were great. Are they the talking hamsters? Weren't they hamsters?
Yeah. They were so good. Okay,
yeah, they were awesome.
It's one of those.
I still miss Quiznos. There used to be one under my dentist, and it was how you get your teeth cleaned. Okay, don't eat for half an hour. I would literally just stand outside, being like, 41 minutes. Okay,
that's reasonable. Yeah. That's reasonable.
Quiznos was awesome. Yeah,
It's one of those things where you don't even realize what's happening until it's gone, so I remember Subway
till it's gone. Okay.
Subway though, it was bought by a dentists association and it was
subs and dentists. Can I ask what this is a good pairing?
Hilariously is that right after that is when they started adding massive amounts of sugar to the bread. So Ireland has classified their Subway bread as cake. It's cake. It's not bread. You cannot call it bread.
Yeah.
And you're kind of going,
and then the yoga mats thing, and
he's an evil genius.
I mean, dentists are not your friend. They are up to shenanigans. And I respect the hustle. I really do. But also, stop fucking with my sandwich. I mean,
wait, things that don't exist. When I was little, this is going to sound crazy. Kmart is gone, right?
Yep.
But when I was little, we had a Kmart with a diner in it.
Whoa.
Okay, so
that's pretty cool.
Up here, we had Zellers, which was we had some Kmart's, but Zellers was the equivalent, just Canadian, and they also had a diner, and it was a good. It wasn't super expensive, but it was a diner. You're gonna get a decent meal. You're gonna be full, and then you can fuck off and do your shopping.
You can go shopping. It was odd. We used to go when I was little. We didn't, eat out to places.
Yeah.
Well, we would go to the Kmart. It was cool. We would take grandma. We'd go sit down, chill. You eat, then you get to look around. I wasn't allowed to touch anything, so at least I got to eat.
Of course not. Yeah. Well, so this is the hilarious thing is I remember like we were a family of 7. So my 2 parents, 5 kids, right? And like my parents would take us out, but it was like also there is a very good chance one of us get beaten by the end of the night because we were a problem, right? So like I think about that now, and now I see people going out with their kids, and I'm like, oh, you're not beating your kids enough because they are wild. Like that's not
right.
Just because like I remember they're like, hey, don't touch anything, and if you touch something, they're like, all right, you're gonna lose that hand, and you're like, no, I don't want to lose my hand. They're like, then why'd you touch something? Like,
why'd you do? Same. You stayed right. You could walk maybe like 3 steps away from your parent.
Yeah.
And you could look at things, even if you pointed at something, you better be like 5 feet away from the thing you're pointing at.
Oh yeah. And heaven forbid you say, but I want it. Fuck did you just say? You don't until you got a job, you don't get to want anything. You have needs and that's it. Nothing more, It
was my parents' favorite was want in one hand and shit in the other and see which one fills up first.
That is a good one though, I have to admit. It's wild how like I remember like I telling people this, how it's like, oh, like growing up, you didn't have a curfew. You just had to be psychic and know when your parents wanted you home. Otherwise, you may die. Like that's
lights. You better be home. Street lights come on. You're done.
It's and that's the crazy thing is like the idea that people are just like, oh, I don't know what to do. You're like, just go play or do whatever, and they're like, yeah, you can't do that anymore. I'm like, why has this happened? This is a horrible idea. I don't know.
City design is one. Okay, I got to stop doing the urbanist shit. Like, it keeps coming out of me like a chest burster, where like anytime that's like tangentially related. My brother-in-law, he lives like walking distance from a Dollar Tree.
Yeah.
And his kids are like 9 and 7. It's not quite old enough yet, but I'm like, in a couple of years, like I'm surprised that they're not going to be like, here's some cash, go to the Dollar Tree. Get this for me. And like Katie's telling me that that's just never going to happen because they're like, they're not going to have any independence when they eventually go out on their own. You need to like kind of sprinkle it in.
No, like growing up with like my parents or my grandma or like even my aunts and uncles, they were like, go outside.
Yeah.
You leave us alone. To be in here. Go outside. You go. You belong outside. You gotta pee outside. You gotta drink something. Get the hose.
There's a hose.
You gotta, don't come back.
My mom wasn't quite so much like lock the house until the streetlights come on, but it was definitely like, I don't want to see you sitting around on a Saturday. Go do something. And most of the time what that ended up being was like, take my bike or take the bus and go to locals and play Yu-Gi-Oh with my friends. But that was still on my own, Yeah.
So hilariously, Chana, you were saying earlier how like your parents would send you with some money to go pick up smokes and you can get some candy right now. So the other day, I'm working a Halloween haunt, and because it's high stress and I'm like entertaining everybody, so I'm like I've started to smoke a little bit, which I've quit, but shenanigans. And at the same time, I'm coming home and I bummed smokes from people that I was working with, and now I'm on my way home and I have no smokes. I was like, man, I remember when you could go up to like a machine, just put in some money and pull the thing. And I was like, oh man, it was a better time. And then you're like, I kind of realized why a lot of kids smoked, because you could just walk up and pull, and you're kind of going like, some things were convenient, other things you're like, oh, it was only a matter of time before that went bad.
Wait, didn't they ban candy cigarettes?
Yeah,
so. By my time, they were gone.
Those used to be the best, and you would,
So you are cool. You're like,
super cool.
Even by like there wasn't even like anti-smoking propaganda. By the time I was in middle school, where smoking would be like enticing, it just wasn't. What was enticing was weed, because they're like weed.
Oh yeah.
But it was less about the like a cigarette thing. I think the anti-smoking 90s had really.
I think you're right. It really infiltrated in that 90s.
I don't think it infiltrated. I think it just did its job. It was like, hey, cigarettes are killing us. We should stop doing that.
But did we have to take away the fun candy cigarette?
Listen, if anything,
Yeah.
Hey, cigarettes, we're playing the long game. We're like, listen, people are going to retire early. It'll be a transfer of wealth. It's a good thing. Shorten the lifespan.
There's that, and then they were
ahead of their time. They were ahead of their time.
Vapes. Now it's just vapes, which are its own can of worms.
No, they just up the sugar content and everything. They found a different way to like make sure that everybody is in the same pool.
Yeah, you can't fight back if you can barely move. I'm waiting for those chairs from Wall-E where I'm like, listen, if they could just feed me like a trough, that'd be perfect. I don't have to worry about things, right? But it's just it's one of those things.
Yeah,
you know?
Pixie. When I was little, it was just straight like Pixie Sticks was just a tube of sugar.
The Pixie Sticks, we tried that a couple of times.
Listen, but also too, Pixie Sticks were like you could get like a bunch, like 5 of them, and you're like, yo, that's enough sugar to like take over Austria. Like you were just like you would like just like you were running on pure fire. Like it was, it's a weird thing where you're kind of going like a lot of people were just filled with sugar and just released into the wild, and you're kind of going,
what the heck is a Pixie Stick? It's literally just like sugar with
you didn't have it. Yeah, it's basically looks like a straw.
Yeah.
And inside of it, it has like flavored sugar. It's full of just flavored sugar. That's it.
And it would have different colors and stuff. And you'd have one dick of a friend who'd be like, oh, I only like the red part, so I'm going to only have that. But you're like, listen, it's all sugar, jackass.
It's just fine.
And
you rip the top off and just dump it on your tongue.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, listen, and then, your eyes go completely pupilled and you're just like, I can see through time. It's perfect.
I remember they called cigarette chocolates. It came in so wait, were you supposed to smoke them or were they just in the shape of the chocolate?
Like Popeyes, remember Popeye candy cigarettes is the same thing, but chocolate. And you're like, listen, if anything, there was just a tube of fun, and you're just,
Yeah, the ones it came in what looked like this candy cigarettes. I remember came in what looked like a cigarette pack.
Yeah.
And they were like those white, like
it was like chalk. It was chalky.
And you just,
if you blew on it, a little bit of like a tuft of sugar would come out. Yeah. And you're like, I'm so cool. Watch this. And you're like, yeah, I'm badass. And
you're like, I'm sophisticated.
Because listen, they were like 75 cents, and I'm here with like 100 Swedish berries, and I'm like, I wanted more gummies.
Swedish berries are in like anachronistic because I googled it, and the Wikipedia page is not even like a full history of it. It's like, here's a picture, here's what they're made of, and we're done.
Huh.
I mean, like, let's be honest. It's a conspiracy theory. There's some sort of evil nature to Swedish berries.
Yeah. And, we used to be all hopped up on candy, dealing candy in your little, your eyes are wide. You're all hopped up on sugar in your Care Bear outfit.
Most of my, like, one of my kids gave me a warhead in class the other day, which I hadn't had since I was like 10.
Oh, no.
A warhead?
Okay. Great.
Was it, but was it the same way you remember it?
Oh, yeah. Where like you feel like your head's going to explode and then the sourness goes away and then it's just a sucker after that. Yeah.
Well, but that's the thing is like, I remember there were sour candies that like you felt like your entire face peeled off when you had it. Right. And
that's why when I hear warhead, I'm like,
right. And it's I feel like that was part of the like, I'm deciding what kind of budget do I have for my suffering for today? Like, is it just going to be sugar or am I also going to like explode my mind with sourness? I mean,
Lemonheads used to be.
Oh yeah. Lemonheads are great.
Sour.
Yeah.
My wife, she brought, so we shop at a Chinese grocery store and they have these candies. They're called super lemons. And like it's the same thing, and it's like you eat it, and then it's like it's citrusy in the beginning, but it's also then like insanely sour, and then afterward you have like a little candy, and you're like, it's a little lemony, a little citrus, it's fine, but it's just not the same.
One of my friends from college,
kids are weak.
One of my friends from college has anxiety, had anxiety, and he would carry a thing of like sour candy with him. Yeah. So, like, when he was having an anxiety attack, he'd eat one, and then the sourness would kind of break him out of the cycle. It was cool.
That's genius. So, okay, but that's thinking outside the box because, like, when you're anxious, like, it's kind of like when you're on a bad trip, right? Like, your entire focus goes to the wrong place. And I'm like I've told people, I'm like, listen, so if you squeeze right in between your thumb and index finger, like that's a pressure point, and it kind of takes you, like it's painful but also relieving in a weird way.
That one's supposed to relieve your headaches too. So I've heard.
Yeah. So like there's all sorts of little things like that, but I'm like, that idea of distraction, which I fully believe, like there is a whole, like, just give them sugar or drugs, they won't think about anything else, it'll be fine.
So that was our entire childhood's, like this generation was distracted 24/7.
Yeah. And
now we all have like PTSD. Like we all go, oh yeah, a couple years ago we were like, hey, everybody has PTSD. I wonder why.
It's basically because of the Thunderdome. Like it's just,
and then also like a bunch of us were told, hey, you're smart, you're gonna do a great job, and then you get in the world and then you're like, I don't feel very smart, and they're like, well, you were in the gifted program, so
listen,
still issue.
I always say this. I say my generation was promised a unicorn. We were promised to grow up and you had a unicorn. Where's my unicorn?
Listen,
they pulled the ladder up behind them and the unicorn was on it.
I use the same example about the pandemic. I'm like, I was promised bodies in the streets and like a veritable wasteland, and I got none of it. And that's some bullshit. Okay. You guys promised me something. I wanted like a full apocalypse, and people were like, we're flattening the curve. And I'm like, that's not how science works.
No, we have the apocalypse that like we deserve. You know what I mean?
Right? Yeah.
This is the aftermath. We have like the aftermath of the only apocalypse that we can handle.
I mean, like it's emotional. That's what
I'm saying. We got an emotional apocalypse. It's like you guys can't know. You're not like plague. Yeah. You're not plague sturdy. Okay. Yeah. But what you are is, you're all soft. So let's see what we can give you.
Yeah, you're gonna have torment only on the inside. The rest, don't worry about it. It's just gonna be you in your own little world of hell. It's fine. It'll be
like, now you're all mentally messed up a little bit more. You're welcome.
It's so like one more nostalgia thing before we go, everyone. Like I remember if you heard someone was like, oh, they're talking with a therapist, I'm like, oh, did they like something crazy should have happened, right? And now you're like, oh, I don't go to therapy. You're like, oh, you're just untreated? That's dangerous. Yeah.
The only like exception is just like I can't afford to go to therapy. You know what? Okay, fair enough.
Yeah, you're like, oh, there's Reddit. It's fine. You'll piece it together. I
was like, we're in the US. We can't afford it.
Hilariously, that's why it's like BetterHelp. It's only like a couple bucks. You're like, okay, so I'm getting like,
BetterHelp. We're the Airbnb of therapy now.
It's only a couple bucks. Here's a bag of penny candy. That's your therapy.
Yeah. They're like, do this every time you're anxious. Some of it's sour. It's like a surprise. You'll be fine.
Eat a lemon head. Everything's fine.
Also, damn, that's another good episode title. Eat a lemon head. Everything's fine.
I mean, it'll work. It's definitely a thing.
All right. So last thing before we go. What's one thing that you wish you could have again that is no longer available? One more thing.
Taco Bell used to make this bowl, and it had like crunchy things in it, had rice in it. I don't really know what was in it. Probably fingers and toes.
Meat. It was meat.
It was. I don't really know. It was like a Baja bowl. No, it was pre-Baja. And then it had this sauce packet that you poured on top of it.
Yeah.
I would eat that.
Yeah.
I would eat that and be glad to suffer the consequences after.
Yeah, which like that's more than 24 hours of suffering. So yeah, no, I get that. Yeah, no, that's fine. I don't know. For me, I feel like interestingly enough, Chana, you did bring it up earlier, was the dollar menu where like there has been a trend where people are like finding old receipts of like Taco Bell or McDonald's dollar menu, and just like I don't know if you guys had this in the States, but we had Toonie Tuesday. So a Toonie is a $2 coin that we have up here. So we have a loonie, which is $1, Toonie, which is $2. It's not smart, it's fine. But You could go. It was $2.
Looney is like, what the fuck is that's so Canadian?
Oh, because it has a loon, the bird on it. Yeah,
still super Canadian.
Yeah, super Canadian. But like for a toonie, you could get it was 2 pieces of dark meat, fries, and a small coleslaw at KFC, and like it was Toonie Tuesdays, and like then it was like $2.22, which you're going. That's still because I would be like I was fat as fuck, so I'd be like, listen, I'm gonna get 3 of those and eat like a king. It's fine. And like and the funny thing is, then it was like Toonie Tuesdays, and you're like, cool. Why is it $5.99? You're like, I don't know, right? And you're like, listen, if it's a deal, keep it a deal. And like the dollar menu, because even like Dollarama, everything's like $1.50 or $1.25, and you're going, don't draw me in with a dollar, Dollar General. Number one, it's dollar private at best. You are not. This is not someone in charge
or a dollar corporal.
Yeah. And you're just like that idea of actually getting something like a good bang for your buck is especially food wise is one of those things where I miss 100%. What's up, Cole? What's up, Spooderman?
I was trying to see if I could find the name of that bowl.
That's one of the reasons I love those extreme couponing people where they're like, they owe me $2 now after everything. I did like just to get over. For me, it's like a Go-Dirt from the freezer circa 2004. Something about mid 2000s Go-Dirt before they took all the stuff out, like the type 2 diabetes causing stuff. That's what I miss and what I wish I could have again. I did get to have a big stick with the yellow and orange popsicle. Those are still like about the same. Still pretty good.
Wait, I'm gonna take mine back. I'm gonna say I wish that I could have my mom cook for me every day again.
Aww.
You know what, Chana, you're hitting gold here because like I was the youngest of 5, and all of my siblings had gotten married and moved out, so it was just me and my parents. And then like I would come home from college, of not really doing anything because it was college, and my mom I'm like, oh, what's for dinner? And she's like, oh, I'm making this. So I was like, oh, okay. She's like, did you want something else? I'm like, oh, maybe this. And she's like, yeah, I'll whip it up for you. And I'm like, it was just such a nice, it was that unconditional love, and you're like,
it's nice for someone else to cook, man. I hate cooking. And if somebody would just cook me meals every day, I would be grateful.
That's a reasonable thing. Yeah.
I'm just like, I can't give you anything but my gratitude. I've got nothing else.
Well, thank you so much for coming on Generation Dan, Chana. Yeah.
It's been a pleasure.
Where can people find and follow you and all that good stuff?
I do a YouTube series. Honestly, like if everything is under my name. So Instagram, it's instagram.com/Chana Carol.
It'll all be in the description too.
Yeah, YouTube, it's all /Chana Carol. Because I just try to keep it consistent. And my name's weird enough that nobody else has it.
I feel you, girl. I feel
win,
you.
Right? Win.
You can follow me at Atlas Novak in all those places. To my students who somehow came across this, leave me alone until you graduate. Okay,
that's fair. Yeah. This isn't until you graduate. You're not allowed to have an opinion. That's fair. Yeah.
So follow me there on YouTube. I'm the Epileptic Comic. Recently, I've been doing sketches about being a teacher, and it's mostly just doing songs from musicals, like as the sketch.
Which is his passion, everyone. It is his passion. So
randomly, one of those blew up on TikTok where I was taking a song from Hamilton, and not even one of the good ones. It was just like one of the shit songs from Hamilton.
Oh, I'm gonna get.
Yeah.
I'm not following you.
You can also follow my other show, Nexus at Night, which is about the trading card game Vanguard. We stream every Friday at 6:30 Pacific. Go check that out anywhere you get your YouTube shows. Dino, take it away.
Dino the Genetic Marvel everywhere. I recently got monetized on YouTube, everyone. So go check it out. You can buy me drinks. I do this show. I do Life of Giants on Mondays. I do Hammered and Cheese, which is doing great, which is a cooking show where we also get shit-faced while cooking, which, let's be honest, there's nothing better than cooking a meal, then being drunk by the end. So it's going to taste that much better.
Yep. And that's with the man, the myth, the legend, Cole Clayton, who showed up in the chat a second ago.
Absolutely. Yeah. So also too, just a little PSA to everyone is recently we had there was the the sauce that came up in Rick and Morty. It was the teriyaki sauce that McDonald's had.
Oh, the Szechuan sauce.
Szechuan sauce. Yeah. And recently they started advertising it's available. So just know, everyone, that if you're missing your nostalgia, the only thing that's keeping between you is capitalism, and it's ruining everything.
Well, and also there's that asshole who jumped on the counter and ruined Rick and Morty as like a show for most of the fandom. We're like, okay, it's not cool to like it anymore.
No, I mean,
now
it's about sadness. It's always great. Anyways, have a wonderful day, everyone, and we will see you guys soon. And remember to like, share, and subscribe, or you're a bad person. It's that simple.
Bye.
Later.